He and Aubrey had built up a real relationship, even though they didn't agree on anything. She came by on election night to hang out and watch everything and ask more questions. It really seemed to me like nothing could deter him from this job. The reporter who brought us Hyder's story, Natalia Contreras, she talks about Hyder's radical patience with the election conspiracists used to fill his office. And election administrators in the rest of the country looked to Hyder as a model for transparency, openness, efficiency. The Secretary of State of Texas back then, not a Democrat, a very conservative guy, said to Natalia last year, if you were building a prototype for an elections administrator, you would just copy Hyder Garcia. But on April 16th, 2023, Hyder released a letter. It begins, gentlemen, please accept this letter as my formal resignation from the position as election administrator for Tarrant County. 5 months after we ran that story, Hyder had quit. Some people in the county were pretty upset. They spoke up at this public meeting. One of the people was Aubrey, the voter fraud activist, who was always questioning him.
I was also shocked at Hyder's resignation. I've been working with him. He is transparent. I want to give him that credit. It is a loss because he's built these systems and he knows more about these computerized voting systems than most people on this planet. I don't think it's necessarily a win for the movement or for Tarrant County, but
So what happened? Hyder wouldn't talk about it for this story, citing his new job. He's on this federal election advisory committee now. But here's what we figured out, and a lot of this is based on Natalia's reporting for Vote Beat. It actually all started the night we were down there, election night. One of the elections Hyder was overseeing was for who would be his new boss, a position called county judge, the guy who would be in charge of Tarrant County. The winner was a man named Tim O'Hare. He heavily featured election fraud issues in his campaign, claiming that voter fraud is rampant. It is not. That the 2020 election was possibly stolen from Trump. It was not. Hyder had dealt with scores of election skeptics, but now one was his boss. One of the first things Tim O'Hare did when he got into office a few months ago was set up an election integrity task force, like he promised during his campaign, to investigate election crimes. There was a big press conference.
We encourage everyone to report actions that they have concerns about, whether it's at the voting booth, whether it's...
Hyder was not consulted about the task force, and when the task force was announced, he was not there. A reporter asked if Hyder was part of the task force.
The task force is made up of investigators and deputies. So I fully expect him to cooperate with it, but he's not part of the task force per se.
It's worth mentioning, even if you believe there is a major problem with voter fraud, which lots of officials in Texas do, Tarrant County got a special shout out in the big 2020 election audit that Texas did for running its election so smoothly. A quote, quality, transparent election. That was Hyder. So the election integrity task force was one thing. They also fought over the budget. Money had been approved for Hyder to buy an expensive attachment for a mail sorting machine, but O'Hare wouldn't vote to release the funds for it. There was an awkward back and forth at a public meeting with O'Hare questioning him, like, why was this